Welcome to the Business Reignitor series, episode 6. I get asked quite a lot from business owners for ideas on how to grow their business. So in this series, I look at the different types of business that we're interested in partnering with to talk through what I do with each business to help it grow and dominate its local market. During my career, I've grown multiple businesses into multi-million pounds, 7 and 8 figure revenue businesses across multiple industries. And this is the same process I use with those. During the series, I'll pick a random company off the internet and I do a deep dive into what I'd do with that company if I owned it or if I was running it myself. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a travel agency business. So let's get into it. So in this video, we're looking at a company called Bayu Buana Travel Services based in Indonesia. Hope I pronounced that right. Now, I don't know this company. I don't know anyone that works in it. I've never come into contact with this business before, and they aren't paying me to promote the business. So I'm basing all of my growth suggestions on assumptions, all based on what I can see on their website. Now, obviously, if I was actually inside this business, I'd probably choose a few different or additional strategies than what I'll talk about in this video. None of what I talk about is meant to be derogatory in any way, and it's not intention to cause any kind of damage to the business. If you're a client of this business, please don't let my suggestions determine whether you decide to work with them or not. And if it's relevant, please do your own due diligence on the business. And likewise, nothing in this video is an endorsement of the business either. So if you're interested in working with this company, the web address is on the screen. You can reach them through that, and I'm sure they'll appreciate the extra web traffic as well. So one thing I've noticed from coming into contact with hundreds of businesses over the years is that most share the same issues and reasons why they just seem a bit stagnant in the growth. Now, I'm not saying this business shares those issues or that they're stagnant in the growth. I've not seen their account, so I don't know if that's true or not. But what I found, when a business is stagnant or it's struggling to grow, it's because they just need what I call a bit of a reignition. Most of the time, it's not even a lot that needs doing with the business. It's normally just small tweaks or changes, and then it just takes off. But with every business, we have to start with where the business is right now. And I'm not talking about their physical location, although that does come into it. I'm talking about every part of the business. Without doing this step, it's like having a map and saying you want to go to, let's say, Disneyland, Florida, but not knowing where you're at to start with. How can your sat nav give you the directions of how to get there if it doesn't know where you're starting from? Now, there's lots to go into with understanding where the business is, which for this business, we don't have access to all of that information. So to do that process properly, we'll need to be on the inside of the business. So we'll focus on what we know about them based on what's on the website. So what do they do? Who do they do it for? How big is the business? What assets does it have? How many staff does it employ? Does it employ a management team, or is it reliant on the owners? But everything starts with the customer. And you'll see what I mean by this as we move through this. So this business doesn't specify who they're targeting. I assume it's whoever comes to the door or calls their office. So this is why it's even more important to go through that foundational stage that we just talked about, where you analyze the customer base, because that will tell you which sectors the business works for, which are the most profitable sectors, which are the most in-demand sectors, and most important, which sectors are the largest growth markets for the business in the future. Imagine how important it is to know that if you're focused on a particular sector, that in 5 years from now, whether it will be dead or not, something like the high street sector, even if the business isn't a high street retail business, if its customers come from that sector, then it will also die along with that sector, unless it takes some emergency action before it's too late. So for this company, the first strategy to focus on would be to do that and get clear on exactly who they're focused on serving. And when they do that, they'll free up resource and their own time, which they can invest those resources into the most profitable and growing group of customers instead. And what you normally find is 80% of your profits come from about 20% of your customers. So getting clear on this, they can drop certain clients or types of client or groups of client, which are probably taking a lot to cash flow and manage, and the business will see a massive improvement overnight by doing that. And I've done this so many times across every business I've been involved with. Well, when they know who the business is working for, and the type of client and the sector, we need to understand what that client is buying during that journey to solving their problem. It's not just about what the client buys from them. It's about everything that they buy from every other company in that journey. So we want to imagine, how can we maximize what this group of clients spends with the business? So with this business, the products and services it provides are package holidays to set destinations. Now, if I were growing this business, I'd think about adding alternative packages. I'd create packages around activity travel. Maybe that's cycling holidays. Maybe it's language holidays where people can go and learn a new language. I'd create wellness packages where travelers can visit a country and heal their bodies. I'd package up safari holidays, and I'd package up other services that guests might want whilst they're on holiday, such as car hire packages. And finally, I'd look at the various tourist businesses that the business works with already and see what support services might be, what you might be able to sell to them, such as marketing services, for example. I wouldn't do these all at the same time. I'd bring each one in over time, probably taking between 3 to 9 months on each one, launching it, testing it, optimizing it, with the end goal of then operating it almost like a standalone business with its own group of staff. Obviously, that doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But I start with what I call testbed customers. These are customers that are happy to be guinea pigs for that new offering, and maybe they get the offering at a big discount. But what you use these customers for is to refine the product offering and iron out any delivery issues before you start to pass it out to the rest of your customers. And that helps to reduce any bad reviews and things that you might get if you didn't do that process. So after I know the process is working, I then dedicate someone to sell that new offering to the company's existing customers. One thing I see over and over again, though, when a business creates a new product or service offering, they create something that their existing customers won't have a need for, or that they aren't already buying from anywhere. And this means that they have to then go out and find new customers to sell that new product to. And I think it's caused by perhaps they look at what their competitors are doing. Maybe the competitor provides a service that the business doesn't. And so they automatically just create that product offering, but they don't have anyone to sell it to. So they have to start targeting new customers, which costs money, it eats up cash flow, it reduces your profit margins, and it ends up taking much longer before you reach that same end result. It's much more profitable and faster to see those results if you focus on selling more to your existing customers. The next thing I'd do with this business is to create a support services company that can provide services to the partner businesses. I'd also acquire or merge the business with other travel agency businesses, because the most important factor to this type of business is having that existing customer relationship. So if they can bolt on an extra 10,000 customer relationships, they can sell their offerings to that new group of customers. I then look at adding a booking platform to the business, so it removes that reliance on having physical locations and maybe even physical people. I'd also look at adding partnerships to the business. I start by creating partnership with more tourism businesses so that we could add those extra packages. I'd create partnerships with support service providers so we could provide those services to those tourist businesses. And third, I'd create a partnership with a software company to use their platform. Obviously, doing each of these activities or strategies will need a level of investment to bring it to life. Now, that might just be a time investment, but others might need some significant financial investment. And from that investment, you'd expect to see a return on each of those activities. So we want to prioritize each of these strategies or activities according to a few criteria. So how much investment is needed? What are the expected returns? How fast will we see those returns? And how much cash flow or further investment will each of those activities need in the future or to operate the business? The next question is, how much should the business invest into these growth projects? And obviously, we don't know the numbers inside this business, so it really depends on the business numbers and what their growth projections are. But as a rule of thumb, I'd look to invest around 15 to 20% of that projected revenue for next year. So let's say the business has 2 million revenue now, and they want to reach 2.5 million revenue next year. Then that investment budget of between 375,000 and 500,000 would be about right to do that. So we've created a number of strategies to focus on growing this business. Now, the problem that I see with most businesses that try to do these strategies is they'll go off and they'll start to try doing it themselves. The problem with doing that is it becomes a distraction to your existing core business. In the various businesses I've been involved in myself doing this, it was me and maybe a small group of people that focused on doing this growth plan while the rest of the business continued to be run by people that were dedicated to that. You have to really think about these growth projects or activities like creating a special task force. And that special task force will be the ones that create that new thing, that new product, that new business. To give you an example, if you think about Apple, now Apple have shops and they have people looking after the manufacturing of the different products, but they also have a completely separate group of people that focus solely on designing and creating new products. That team of people don't do anything else. They don't get involved in fixing people's faulty phones. They don't build iPads. They don't work in the shops selling things. They work on designing and creating new products. Some of those products won't even be available to buy for the next 5 years. But that's how every business should think about it. Now, Apple might be a big business now, but it was the same when they first got started. They always had one group of people that would be building the computers, but then they'd have a small group of people that was creating the next product. And this is what we do. We're like that special task force in a business. The final question is, how does a business go about doing these strategies? Now, we use a lot of different frameworks and tools that we've created over the last 30 years of doing this in our own businesses. A lot of these frameworks and tools are available through our websites or through courses, books, videos that we've created. But the intention of doing these videos is to attract suitable partners to us, where if you're aligned with what we're doing and we want to go in the same direction as you, then we'll work with you and we'll do this process as a joint venture. So if that sounds interesting, the place to go is our website. I'll leave a link in the description and you can reach us there. If you haven't seen my latest books, I'd highly recommend you read those. The Momentum Framework and my most recent book, Sustainable Community, where I go much deeper into using these different strategies. I'll leave a link in the description for those below. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you got some value from the video and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.